All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about Terence Crawford's team response to the fight between he and Errol Spence Jr. not happening. And in short, some people that I have quoted time and time again as very good expressions about what is thought out of the Terence Crawford camp is bragging about the fight not taking place and Errol having to go the hard route from here forward while Terence Crawford must have the easy route. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to be in the 147-pound division, again doing our post-mortem to a fight that collapsed between Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford. There was a lot of talk for months and months and months about the fight taking place, all for Terence Crawford to pull out at the last minute and take a bout against David Avancian. Now, there is a podcast out there, or excuse me, a YouTube live stream, that's what I call them, with a member of Terence Crawford's camp, Bernie the Boxer. And he gave a reaction from Terence Crawford's basement, where Terence Crawford was eating dinner, according to him, and gave his thoughts on the fight not taking place. And let me tell you, man, wow is all I can say to what this man was letting out of his mouth. It's like no shame in their game. Now, before I get into that, though, let me welcome you back to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit the subscribe button and hit that bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. And now, if you are a longtime subscriber like Dark Truth, thank you so much, Dark Truth, for your support of the channel in the Cash App specifically, but also you come through in the live streams, in the super chats, and other people do in the super thanks, which you can do below. You guys really are the people that make this channel go and allow me to speak the truth as I see it, even though some people really don't like it. And you know, what can I say about it? It is what it is. We've been talking about this for a long time. I'm going to see this conversation all the way through to its conclusion. We've been dealing with this for 5 years. Couple more days of it isn't going to hurt anybody. So let's get into this. Bernie the Boxer. Wow. You can go listen to his podcast, listen to his live stream, was bragging about leaving Errol Spence Jr. in the dirt, and specifically said that now that Terence Crawford went on and got this easy money. I'm using the word easy money. I'm not sure if he said the word easy money, but I think easy money would apply. That Errol Spence Jr. now has a hard road in front of him. Now, I found that comment was very, very interesting, seeing as for so many years, people were pointing to a conversation that took place between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford that is on tape, where Errol Spence Jr. says he is going to beat everybody on his side of the street and then go get Terence Crawford and take Terence Crawford's belt. And in the middle of it, he says, why wouldn't I take the easy route? Now, when he said easy route, he was talking about getting the fight done and talking about sides of the street. It is easier to get a fight done when you are all fighting with the same manager. You have the same manager, they have the same advisor, and you're fighting on the same networks. That is an easier situation to come around to negotiations to get done. And that's why he used the phrase easy route, an easier negotiation. Why wouldn't I take the easier route to negotiate and get these 3 fights done and then come deal with you, which is then going to be hard, a harder route to get about done with you. Now, very ironic, though, now that this has fallen apart and we've listened to all of the conversations that have gone back and forth, Errol Spence Jr.'s words wound up being prophetic, because there was nothing harder than making a fight between Errol Spence and Terence Crawford as far as any major fight that people were interested in that we've seen in a while. 6 months, and I won't go into all of the details of it, but suffice it to say, it was a difficult It was a difficult, much more, according to Steven Espinoza, according to Terence Crawford, a much more difficult negotiation than anybody in that situation would have expected to be. So then have, when it falls apart, for a key member of Terence Crawford's team to refer to it as now Errol has a hard route in front of him. Errol has had a hard route for him the entire time. Terence Crawford, the entire time he's been at 147, has had an easier route than Errol Spence Jr. has. So to me, it just again lays down that the mentality of that camp is not necessarily to fight the best. It is to make the most money for the least risk. Now, there is also an interview that was done several years ago that is doing the rounds again, now that everything fell apart and people are looking at everything Bud has said over the last several years about the fight, or people in his camp have said about the fight, or what people in his camp have said about the fight. And Bud, several years ago on Black Fight Fan Bud's trainer, Bomac, again, some words that were prophetic. Just like Errol Spence, hey, you're going to be the hard negotiation. This is what Bomac said several years ago. Bomac says that, look, if you can get $10 million to fight a mediocre opponent, why wouldn't you go get that? Why wouldn't you go get that? Bud is 30 years old now. He's getting older. So as you get older, you don't know. You got to get your money when you can get your money, because nothing's promised. And yeah, you can beat all these guys now, but when you get older, hey man, you're going to slow down and you got to all of that stuff is what he said. Now that happened 5 years ago when Bud was 30 years old. Now 5 years later, half a decade later, what do they do when there's a very, very good fight presented for them, which is with a tough young fighter, by the way, for probably more money than he would get for David Avancian, probably, because in that same conversation, that team walked away from the rumor that Bud was offered no money up front and 35% of the net, as had come out with several other leaks out of the camps since the bout fell apart. But to wind up not having the fight, and having the fight not take place and almost be prophetic, how you say, well, it is, why not take $10 million for a mediocre opponent, because we're getting older and that's the easier route to do. This is clearly what Terence Crawford decided to do. Now, there are people out of Terence Crawford's camp talking out of both sides of their neck at the same time. Like, hey, we can still fight Errol in February. We're just going to go get this tune up and then we're going to come back and get Errol after that. Hold on, man. You can't fight him what do you mean you can fight him in February? You turn the fight down. You didn't accept the February fight and say, hey man, I'll fight this February fight as long as you guys know I'm fighting one in December. Didn't say it. But I just thought that it was really, really ironic that guys would brag about Errol being forced into a hard route, which if he stays at 147 will most definitely be the case, because he will have to defend against either a WBC mandatory and Keith Thurman. He will have to defend a WBA mandatory in Stanionis, and he would have to take a mandatory with probably the hardest fight that there is for him, period, including Bud in this division, and that is Jaron Ennis for the IBF mandatory. So Bud doesn't have to have another man, so he's going to take a easy bout, and then after that, none of those guys, the only person over there that looks like he may get forced into a mandatory with is Virgil Ortiz, right? That's the highest level guy that is the number one that is directly in line to become his mandatory. It's just craziness, man. And to listen to guys actually gloat over it, in my opinion, tells you where people were the entire time. But that's my opinion. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out.